As Indians, we often forget to appreciate the flora and fauna available in our own locality and focus on the beauty around the world. Although it's a good thing to appreciate nature no matter the latitude and longitude, this often leads to us ignoring what's available in our own backyard. So here's a question for everyone watching. What's the longest species of snake currently living on planet Earth? Many of you have answered the anaconda, the green anaconda in particular. Now you wouldn't be far from the correct answer if that's what you answered, and we are going to talk about the green anaconda in an upcoming video, but the answer to the longest snake on earth surprisingly is not the green anaconda. No, it's one that's available in our very own backyard, and the answer is the reticulated python, also known as simply retics in short. And a surprising fact about this species is that it is one of the very few snakes that are actually capable of killing and consuming an adult human. Stick around to find out more on that delicious snake on human interaction. And yes, this is a species that lives in India. Reticulated pythons are the world's longest and third heaviest snakes. They are native to Southeast Asia and can be found in many countries including Bangladesh, Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, Malaysia, Singapore, and most commonly and abundantly in Indonesia and the Philippines. Well, here's a question. Can you guys guess what are the two most heaviest snakes on planet Earth? Leave the answers in the comment section. Now that we know reticulated pythons are the longest snakes on earth, let's talk about how long they actually are. Yeah, how about that? How long are them snakes? A newborn reticulated python is about 2 feet in length. Yes, much longer than the snakes that all of you watching this video possess, ain't it? Just to put it into perspective, I am a 6 feet tall human being and I am considered tall by most standards. A newborn reticulated python is 1/3 my height. 1/3. That's insane. Now let's talk about how big they can actually get. Reticulated pythons have been regularly recorded to be at sizes greater than 20 feet. The longest retic on record is from all the way back in 1912 at a staggering 32 feet. Yes, 32 feet. Now many of you may not understand how long 32 feet really is because we don't really see 20 or 30 feet human beings walking around us all the time, now do we? So let's put that into perspective. When you think of a giraffe, what do you think? Tall, don't you? Very tall even. Wow, so tall. The tallest giraffe ever on record is only about 20 feet. So yes, 1.5 times that length is about 30 feet. 32 feet, the record for the retic, is even longer than that. Now there are 3 main subspecies of retics. The Selayar retic, which is primarily found around the Selayar Island and in adjacent Sulawesi Island. Both of these places being located in Indonesia. So the habitat of the Selayar retic is very restricted, just like the amount of movement I have all around the year. The second subspecies we are going to talk about is the Kayudi reticulated python or Tanajampian reticulated python. Now try pronouncing that without failing. Much easier to get eaten by a retic than naming this one. Now this one, just like the previous one, is found in only one island in Indonesia, and that island is named, you guessed it, Kayudi Island. Becoming obvious now, isn't it? Now the third subspecies we are going to talk about is the Asian reticulated python or the Asian retic in short. Now that's an easy name right there. Why can't they all be like that? Well, because they are available all over Asia, and this is a species that is available in India as well. Funny thing is that since we Indians are great at studying and love studying so much, we all aspire to end up in an IIT someday, and thus it is absolutely no freaking surprise that an Indian snake has similar aspirations. An Asian retic was in fact found chilling, trying to decide the best course of engineering on the campus of IIT Madras, located in Chennai of course. Now that was a small snake, around 7 to 8 feet. Still taller than any of you watching this video, including me. Almost as tall as women want men to be these days. Now for most of the video, we are going to talk about this third subspecies that we just talked about, the Asian reticulated python, for the very reason that this is one of the easiest name and thus it makes sense to talk more about it. No, not at all. This is the biggest of the three subspecies. The coyote and salayer can't even dream of getting to the sizes that the Asian retic can achieve. Not an education in an IIT, of course. And thus, the Asian retic is what horrors are made of. So let's get to some of those horrifying stories now, shall we? Now, before we discuss the horror stories, let's talk about how these horrors are really made possible. The Asian retic is this massive animal that primarily hunts using an ambush strategy. It relies on its ability to remain still and blend into its environment, often waiting for prey to come within striking range. This strategy, wherein an animal waits for the prey to come to them instead of going on the lookout and actively hunting for the prey, is called ambush hunting. This can occur in a variety of places. In burrows in the ground, where a rodent may come in seeking shelter only to become food. Now retics, being a massive animal in size, can handle prey way larger than rats and other small rodents. Retics are known to prey on animals as big as deer and humans. They use other strategies such as camouflaging themselves in trees, waiting for a prey to pass by. The other strategy it uses is something we are all familiar with, but we relate such a strategy more with a bigger animal like a crocodile, which is lying in wait in the water's edge. Being a massive animal, retics are capable of pulling this one off. They wait till the prey arrives hidden underwater and then strike and constrict them, slowly chipping away at the animal's ability to breathe, while sometimes just outright crushing them altogether. There are many stories about retics consuming humans, where the oldest report comes all the way from the 17th century, when the Dutch East India Company was still a thing. The Dutch one, not the English one we all study about. But our first horror story of the day comes straight from the Sulawesi, Indonesia. On June 16, 2018, a 54-year-old woman, Watiba, farmer by profession, went to her garden to check on her vegetables. Little did she know, this is where a reticulated python lay in wait, aka ambush, for its prey. When considerable time had passed and her family noticed that she was missing, they went to look for her in her garden and were able to find only her belongings, which included sandals and a flashlight. Thus the family launched a search for the woman, and the reticulated python was found not very far from the garden where Watiba had gone missing. Due to the large meal that the snake had consumed, it was not able to move very far away from its kill location and was found by the villagers. Once the snake was found in its bloated condition, it was suspected to be the reason behind the woman being missing and was killed and cut open, revealing the corpse of the missing woman. The woman was found to be swallowed headfirst by the snake, as per reports. This was only the second time a reticulated python was documented to have consumed a human being. There are several other cases of reticulated pythons consuming humans from the 21st century. In 2022, another 54-year-old missing Sumatran woman from Jambi named Jara was found inside a python, which was only the third fully documented swallowing of an adult human. On 7th June 2024, the fourth confirmed case of full consumption appeared, after a woman named Farida was found to have been devoured by a reticulated python. 3 weeks later, in July 2024, another woman named Siriati was discovered inside a python's stomach in South Sulawesi. So at this point, it is well documented that retics are fully capable of killing and consuming adult human beings. Now the last case comes once again, you guessed it, from Sulawesi, Indonesia. Some of you may have noticed that I have talked about the second, the third, even the fourth and fifth case of predation on humans, and thinking, where is the first one? Well, this is the first one, and it's a story of nightmares. What makes this case particularly horrifying is that, in this case, an adult man, aged 25, pretty much in his prime, was killed and consumed by a reticulated python. In June 2017, a reticulated python was reported to have swallowed a 25-year-old man named Akbar, a palm plantation worker in Sulawesi, Indonesia, Palm plantation is very common in Indonesia. Oftentimes, large swathes of forests are cleared up just to set up palm plantations. What is incredibly problematic about palm plantation is that palm plantations often attracts rodents and other snack-sized animals to the palm trees, which in turn attracts the snakes, and since these plantations are set up for human cultivation, this greatly increases the probability of human-snake interactions. So Akbar Salubira disappeared from his home in Indonesia after going to harvest palm oil. Essentially, he didn't come back from the harvest and a search was launched for him. The search for Akbar came to an end after residents found a huge reticulated python recorded at 23 feet near the man's home. The snake was suspected as the culprit because the boots and other working tools of Akbar were found in the vicinity of the 23-foot giant. Reports say that the snake was found in a condition where it could not move from the huge meal it had just managed to get its jaw around. Now, talking of getting jaws around, this is perhaps the most shocking thing about any snake preying on humans. The jaws of snakes are one of the most fascinating and unique aspects of their anatomy. These jaws are often known as moving jaws as they can be separated from each other pretty much independently, allowing them to consume prey that is much larger than their head. Unlike humans and many other animals, snakes don't have a rigid, fixed jaw structure. Instead, their jaws are highly flexible and can move in a way that enables them to essentially walk their jaws over the prey and swallow it whole. You can imagine the teeth being like appendages walking on the body of the prey. The interesting part of this feature is that, unlike most jaw structures, snake jaws are not fixed to each other at the back. So the two jaw bones, the upper jaw and the lower jaw, are not fused, giving them a lot of flexibility. There is a bone present in the snake's skull which connects the upper jaw to the lower jaw. But this bone can move independently of the skull, unlike the jaws of all of you watching this video. The ligaments and muscles also allow for this extension of the jaw and walking movement we just discussed. Now here is what makes consuming a human an incredible feat for a snake. A snake always consumes its prey whole. So imagine a snake attempting to consume a human, almost like you attempting to consume an entire birthday cake in one bite. First, the snake opens its jaw to fit the head of the human being, which is fairly massive even if it's hollow inside. Did you get that? Did you? So the snake is now slowly walking its jaw down from the head to the neck of our unfortunate friend. But here comes a challenge that only a handful of species can ever overcome. The shoulders, the boulder shoulders of human beings. For an animal to be able to fit its jaw around a human shoulder is a gargantuan feat. And yes, gargantuan is a real word. Go look it up as you look up the photos and videos of retics after watching this video. Don't go now. Must watch video till the end. Give me that complete watch time, fellas. The retics have somehow shockingly found a way to stretch their jaws so wide they can consume a 25-year-old adult human male completely. This is not only shocking but rather a disturbing thought to imagine. A big focus on my channel is going to be about highlighting all the beautiful creatures that are found in India. And yes, this is a species that is found here. We already talked about the snake found in IIT Madras that was well on its way to achieving an erudite status among reptilians, but let's also talk about where in India this species is most commonly encountered. The presence of reticulated pythons in India is mainly due to the combination of geographic overlap and ecological conditions that the species thrives in. Northeastern India has similar climate and environment to the regions where retics naturally thrive. The dense tropical forests and riverine ecosystems provide ample prey and suitable habitats for these large constrictors. Now, the most number of retics in India are actually found in the Nicobar Islands, an absolutely beautiful, gorgeous place for all those of you who haven't visited yet and are planning to visit an international beach to get that clean, beautiful, crystal clear blue water or crystal clear green water for that matter. Try the Andaman and Nicobar Islands out. Might even get to see the longest snake in the world while you're at it. There's also the possibility of the snake expanding its range, either naturally or through human activity, as the python is an excellent swimmer and can cross rivers to access new territories. There have been sporadic reports of reticulated pythons being sighted or captured in India, particularly in areas like Assam, Nagaland, where the snakes of considerable size have been discovered in human inhabited areas. Retics have been known to inhabit the Karbi Anglong region in Assam and rainforest areas of the Naga Hills. An interesting case also comes from Hooghly in West Bengal. A 17-foot monster was spotted in a canal in Hooghly region. Now it is suspected that the snake most likely ended up there from Myanmar or Bangladesh, but then again it's only speculation. This snake species is particularly adept at expanding its range, and hopefully we will have proper conservation measures in India. Now let's talk about what is the most important factor of all factors when it comes to a species. How is the species doing out in the wild? Now by the trend of this presentation, you might have already guessed that the highest population of this snake species lives in Indonesia, killing and consuming people and creating all the horror stories that we are all here for. Philippines also ranks right up there with Indonesia in terms of snake populations. International Union for the Conservation of Nature, or IUCN, lists retics as a species of least concern. In other words, this species has a healthy population surviving in the wild, which is a good thing. About 500,000 retics are hunted worldwide each year for a variety of reasons, such as for their skins, for the leather industry. Many are also hunted for their meat. Yes, it is eaten as a delicacy in some places around the world. Most of these cases of hunting takes place in Indonesia. It is also considered an invasive species in USA, and it is killed because of the very same reason that you kill invasive species. Now the conservation status of this species in India is not very clear. Research is ongoing to determine the stresses that the species faces in the Nicobar Islands, and most of the surveying parties usually do not come across many living members of the retic family when they scour the lands across the islands. These majestic reptiles are often killed due to a lack of understanding of how important their role is in maintaining the ecology. Killing mostly takes place when snakes take farm animals like poultry and pigs from the farm. So let's spread more awareness about this majestic reptile and hope that the populations keep rising in India. We should also try to have these snakes as a tourist attraction, which is often the case in many other parts of the world. Wildlife tourism in India needs a major push. To all the animal enthusiasts out there, do your bit. Spread this video, do the like and sharing business, and of course subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe, it helps my reach get longer. Now a very important question for the audience to end this video with. Let's put our knowledge to the test. Test your might maybe. What is the longest snake to have ever existed on planet Earth? Here is a small hint. There's two of them, and one of them hail from our very own backyard, aka India. Comment your answers down below and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.